There's something that loads of people in and out of the ex-Jehovah's Witness community often say about Jehovah's Witnesses. That even if you don't agree with their beliefs, you gotta agree that they are good people. And I am here to disagree. It's not only that Jehovah's Witnesses are not good people. My thesis is that they cannot be good people. And by the end of this video, I think you'll agree with me. But what do we mean by good people? Well, by good person, I simply mean someone who actively and positively influences other people. I know that's a vague definition, but for now, I think that's a good enough definition that pretty much anyone would agree with. Someone who tries to help people around them and tries to improve their current conditions, whether they are physical, mental, economic, or even spiritual, is usually seen as a good person. Now, let's see why people argue that Jehovah's Witnesses are good people. The main reason is that Jehovah's Witnesses are very kind, respectful, and nice people. This is the most popular argument that you'll find amongst Jehovah's Witnesses and people who don't really know them. Jehovah's Witnesses are just so nice and smiley and courteous. They complimented my garden when they came over. They were so nice to me when I went to a kingdom hall. Jehovah's Witnesses believe this is one of their highlights of this religion, often seeing it as the main reason why people decide to convert into their religion.
Well, I was about to say how friendly everyone is here. And not just with me, I mean with each other. You people really practice what you preach.
Well, thanks, John. You know, Jesus said for us to have love among ourselves, and we really try our best to follow that command.
Nita had said, at the hall, everyone loves one another. But until I'd felt it, I had no idea. I told her I'd be back.
If you see them on the street, in a cart, or preaching, they will also always be smiling, courteous, and kind. And to the vast majority of people, this is everything they will ever see from Jehovah's Witnesses, so this will be the only impression that they will have. Most people who interact with Jehovah's Witnesses do it superficially, maybe going as far as to attend a memorial or a funeral or something like that, and this is the way that they'll see people interact. Jehovah's Witnesses being nice, kind, loving. If those people, however, decide to progress into their conversion and actually become a Jehovah's Witness, they'll see just how wrong this is, because none of this is actual love. Let's take how Jehovah's Witnesses act when they're preaching to you. Now, you don't need me to tell you that Jehovah's Witnesses are on their best behavior when looking for converts. No surprises there. But they're also trained to ask questions to find what the potential convert is interested in and use that not to connect with them, but to try and indoctrinate them into the cult. They're trained to especially take advantage of people going through traumatic events. They know that going through a traumatic event makes you vulnerable and desperate, so they are trained to use that to convert you. Just look at this excerpt from a training video on how to better preach door to door.
Let's see what would happen if she were to ask just one more question and adapt according to the householder's response.
Now isn't a good time. I just received some bad news.
I'm sorry. Is there anything we can do to help?
No. I just heard my sister has cancer.
Oh, that must be so difficult. For your sister and for you. Yes, when someone we love is suffering, we can often feel helpless.
That's exactly how I feel.
If you have a moment, could I show you something that I find comforting? About a time in the near future when our loved ones will never suffer again.
I'd like that.
Notice what the Bible says at Revelation.
Wow. Did you see how she was able to offer this woman real comfort? Just by being adaptable?
These Jehovah's Witnesses are shown to ask questions about the other person to find their vulnerability and leverage it to convert them. And they won't just use personal tragedies to convert you. They'll even go against their own beliefs momentarily, if that means they can connect with you to try to convert you. For example, Jehovah's Witnesses are against tattoos. That's why you will literally never see a jw.org tattoo out in the wild, just as you see crosses tattoos, because despite the jw.org logo being pretty much their cross, getting it tattooed will be almost oxymoronic. They often take this one verse in the Old Testament that talks against tattoos and make whole articles spinning them negatively. No Jehovah's Witness in good standing would ever be seen getting a sleeve tattoo or anything like that. And nothing the religion has ever published talks nicely about tattoos. And yet, if it's about trying to indoctrinate you, well, that's a different story.
Sorry, I couldn't help noticing, but your tattoo, does that have a meaning?
Oh, yeah. So these vines, they make a heart. It reminds me of my boyfriend. We're getting married in a few months.
Oh, congratulations. That's great. You know, me and my husband, we've been married for about 11 years now.
Oh, wow. You know, I'm actually a little nervous. Nearly all my married friends are divorced now.
But have you ever wondered if there's a secret to a good marriage?
No. But if you got one, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'd love to show you. What we found helped us is a principle in the Bible.
Faking interest in a tattoo you're not supposed to like is okay as long as it's to try to indoctrinate others. And that even extends to their political views. Jehovah's Witnesses, for instance, are forbidden from getting involved in any kind of activism.
There was another phrase that really moved me. It said, "Even if we don't march with protesters, might we be with them in spirit?" Yes, I was with them. Yes. There were several phrases in that article that were written just for me.
But when it comes to indoctrination, well, they have no problem criticizing governments and even pretending to care about women movements and women's rights.
So I said, "Girl, your nails look good." And she was like, "Oh, well, my nails have a meaning." And I'm like, "They do?" And she's like, "Yeah, I want to support
Domestic violence
awareness month." And I'm like, "Whoa, you really care about people." Yeah, we went to the website.
Yeah, we showed the website.
And the featured article for that month was literally about domestic abuse. And she got to see some Bible principles and she took that with her.
This is what makes people believe that Jehovah's Witnesses are nice, kind people. But as you can see, this is fake. It's not real personal interest. It is all with the hidden agenda of converting you to their cult. The moment they realize you are not converting, well, that's when all the attention and care fade immediately. However, if you actually attend their meetings, you'll experience the opposite: love bombing. The moment you, as an interested person, get into a congregation, you'll be treated like a guest of honor. So many people will want to meet you and talk to you after the meeting. And again, this could look like real interest, but it's not. In reality, Jehovah's Witnesses are trained to do this. They know that they need to seize the chance of converting someone when they're already going to a kingdom hall, which is why you will never experience as much love and interest as when you first start going to the meetings. But Jehovah's Witnesses don't want to become part of your life. They want you to dedicate your life to the group, and that means you need to abandon your friends and family who don't want to convert.
I knew how Mom felt about the holidays, but I also learned how Jehovah felt.
Listen.
No, Jade. You listen. Isn't this just another of your phases? It's time to move on, love. The holidays are our time. It's all I get from you. Promise me you'll be here. Promise.
When they love bomb you, they don't want to become your friends. They want to replace your friends. They don't see you as you, yourself, a full person worthy of love and friendship. No, they'll see you as a potential member of the cult and value you and treat you accordingly. What's more, they will immediately start judging you, measuring how close or far you are from being a good cult member and how they can manipulate you to be closer.
Cecilia was attending meetings regularly, but instead of a skirt, she wore pants to the meeting. So I chatted to Nancy, a sister who at the time was accompanying me to her study most weeks, so that we could try and figure out a way of helping her to make the change she needed to make. It took about a year of gently showing pictures, reviewing the Bible principles, but eventually she did get the point. One of the weekends that she was staying over, I went into her room and on her bed, neatly laid out, was a skirt and top, ready for the meeting. I thanked Jehovah at that point because finally our patience had been rewarded.
This enforced unity is key not just to attract converts, but also to keep people docile and indoctrinated. After all, you need to keep an eye on everyone else to make sure that they're following the rules and to rat them out the moment they don't. Plus, since you have to be friends with everyone, you are supposed to give everyone more leeway just because they're Jehovah's Witnesses. And that not only leads to an artificially stronger group, it also protects the worst people inside it. The Jehovah's Witness religion has gotten in trouble for not reporting CSA in multiple countries, like in Australia, where it was shown that they had an issue with CSA proportionally larger than the Catholic Church.
But do you accept that the Jehovah's Witness organization has a problem with child abuse amongst its members?
I accept that child abuse is a problem right throughout the community, and it's something that we've had to deal with as well.
This fake unity is so controlled that they are taught to engage with toxic positivity, of which I've made a whole video about. But this love bombing, enforced unity, and toxic positivity combo don't make for a strong community. Instead, the average congregation is often plagued by gossip and hypocrisy hidden just under the surface. After all, they're forced to put on a smile and a happy attitude to attract members and to keep the members they already have. So, at some point, they gotta get their true feelings out. And since they're not allowed to do it in the open, then they have to do it in secret. It's no wonder that every congregation is just filled with all of this gossip and fake people talking about others behind their backs. Their love and unity are so fake and forced that most Jehovah's Witnesses are able to completely cut out any other Jehovah's Witness the moment the cult decides, without explanation and without previous notice. The only way to do that and stay sane is to base all relationships in the cult on how closely others are to the cult. Outsiders, they aren't even part of the cult, so they're immediately considered a bad influence. But other members are not a good influence automatically. Instead, witnesses are taught to not just shun those who get out of the cult, but also to limit association with members who don't seem too committed to the cult.
Are we letting in bad association through social media? Perhaps we can think of another way bad association.
I don't think so. Except for some friends from my old congregation. Wow, they're not doing so well spiritually. I'm letting them share empty speeches with me online. I will try to help them while I still can, but following their posts is not the way to do it.
And instead, if you want to find good friends, well, you need to find people who are deeply indoctrinated.
What do you think Jehovah is teaching you about friendship?
That I have to choose my friends carefully.
And how can you know if someone should be your friend?
If they help me be Jehovah's friend.
To accomplish this, you need to constantly be judging others in your head, measuring their actions, their clothes, and even their Instagram posts to make sure they're aligning with cult objectives, or to take action and cut them off. And even committed members of the cult are to be shunned if they get removed by elders, regardless of whether they are your best friend or your son or daughter. This approach to building or destroying relationships is only possible if members don't truly connect with people beyond the influence of the cult. All relationships have to be conditional. Love has to be conditional. And the condition is your commitment to the cult. This kind of thinking is exactly why they would rather have their child die instead of allowing them to receive a blood transfusion. All of this, shunning loved ones, conditioning their love, toxic positivity, child endangerment, love bombing, and everything else we've discussed, plus even the stuff that we haven't even discussed, like the homophobia and the transphobia and all of that kinds of stuff. It all affects people negatively, and Jehovah's Witnesses do this religiously. If Jehovah's Witnesses negatively affect people on the regular, can we say that they are good people? Well, if you're not a Jehovah's Witness, chances are you think no, we cannot call anyone who does that a good person. However, a Jehovah's Witness would disagree. The few ones brave enough to get to this part of the video are furiously typing that I'm wrong because they have their own reasons to negatively affect others. After all, Some things are meant to be kept private between family members, and they consider themselves a family, and they wouldn't even want to hang out with someone who turns their backs on their beliefs anyway. And don't you know that discipline isn't supposed to be fun? But that doesn't mean you'll stop disciplining your children, does it? And this is the most complex part of being a Jehovah's Witness or being in any other kind of abusive group or relationship. That it makes people do bad things because they convince their victims that doing bad things is how you become a good person. Think of someone in an abusive relationship. How come the victims not just refuse to leave, but also go as far as to lie to protect their victimizer? Well, because they believe that they deserve whatever bad thing their victimizer does against them. A bad relationship turns into an abusive one when one convinces the other that harm equals love. Once the victim starts to believe that being mistreated by their partner is how their partner expresses love, then they will justify whatever harm they do. And as I explained in my video of how every cult works, cults are just abusive relationships in a group environment. As abusive groups, that is the exact same technique applied to not just make their followers believe that harm is love, but to make them believe that perpetuating that harm is how you show love to others.
Our son Levi was no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I told him everything. How I miss Levi so much, but that I also wanted to be loyal to Jehovah, like Korah's sons. Ben admitted that he too had been struggling with feelings like mine. But then he said something that I hadn't thought of. If we were to stand between Levi and the discipline he needs, we would in effect be blocking an expression of Jehovah's love from reaching him. In fact, it's our very loyalty to Jehovah that could save his life. We agreed to continue to put our trust in Jehovah and stay loyal to him.
This is what a lot of experts call mind control, and that is why this is the most complex part of it all, because Jehovah's Witnesses are not good people, but also you can't blame them. They are the victims of a lie. They didn't decide to do any of that, and in fact most of them would like to do the opposite. But allowing a child to get a blood transfusion, speaking to their loved ones who are no longer part of their religion, and avoiding everything else that they do that negatively influences others, would mean that they are not being good Jehovah's Witnesses. A parent can allow their child to get a life-saving blood transfusion, which is objectively the right thing to do, but they will automatically be seen as a bad Jehovah's Witness, and if they don't repent from doing the right thing, then they can be removed from the congregation, completely removing the label of Jehovah's Witness from the person. They do all of this not because they want to hurt anyone, but because they've been manipulated by a toxic group. That's why the blame for Jehovah's Witnesses not being good people should fall on the leaders who lied to them and convinced them that harm is how they express love. After all, the world is ending very, very soon, and the only ones who can be saved are the ones who at least strive to be good Jehovah's Witnesses. Child endangerment? There's no child endangerment, only following God's law. Don't you know that blood is icky anyway? If you die for religious reasons, then you will be automatically resurrected in paradise, so it's all gonna work out in the end anyway. Shunning people? Well, that's just discipline, so they learn that what they did is wrong, and so they can come back to the safety of their religion as soon as possible. Love bombing and all of that is just so people can come into the safety of the group. And once they decide not to be inside the group, well, they just cut off communication because that's how they maintain unity, which is also very important to survive the end of the world. And all of that is extremely important, the leaders decided, not just because the Bible says so. The Bible never tells you to follow men or to be united with a group or organization, but because the leaders benefit from it. The leaders benefit from secrecy about even the worst crimes committed inside this religion because they want the group to look as attractive as possible to outsiders and because they want to avoid issues in court. All of these bad things that Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to do don't benefit Jehovah's Witnesses nor the people they do them to. They only benefit the leadership, who are the ones coming up with the rules. Jehovah's Witnesses are all lied to and manipulated by the leadership, who have successfully made them believe that toxic and harming behaviors are love instead of being the opposite. If the leaders tomorrow decided to change the rules to allow blood transfusions, remove shunning, and change all other harmful practices, most Jehovah's Witnesses will immediately follow their direction and stop being harmful or toxic towards other people. But then this wouldn't be a cult. It would simply be a religion. And that's the most important difference between cults and normal religions. Normal religions teach their doctrine, which is usually focused on how to be a better person, while allowing their members to decide for themselves how to live their life. Cults teach their doctrine, which is usually focused on making them toxic and harmful for others under the disguise of love, and punish their members who decide for themselves how to live their life. Religions may create bad people, but cults need to teach all their members to be a bad person for the cult to survive. The cult leaders are the ones who have successfully manipulated their followers into believing a completely distorted version of love, so when they want to express love to others, it's equally distorted. The leaders are the one who created an environment where their followers would be born into, teaching them their version of love, which is expressed through shunning and judging and manipulation and child endangerment, and isolating them so they never encounter or believe the true definition of love. Jehovah's Witnesses are not good, kind, nice people, because being a cult member necessitates completely rewriting what good even is. So all members end up believing that being a good person means doing bad things. And that indoctrination doesn't just fade away when people leave the cult. Another ex-Jehovah's Witness content creator complained about me making that toxic positivity video about Jehovah's Witnesses because now he had commenters calling him out on his own toxic positivity in his videos. That's how deep this indoctrination goes. And that's why if you've been a member of a cult, you'll need professional help if you want to fully deconstruct your beliefs. Jehovah's Witnesses are not good people. Nobody can be a member of a cult and be a good person. But it's also not their fault. They simply do bad things because the cult leader successfully redefined what being good means and told them that love equals harm. That's why cult members need kindness and understanding to help them acquire the critical thinking skills to learn even the basic concepts of good and bad, because they are toxic in their effort of being good people. So if they knew better, they would do better. And we, as cult survivors, need to come to terms with the fact that we were not good people when we were in a cult. Recognizing that is the first step into understanding how we were being harmful and unlearn all the toxic lies about being good that the cult gave us. Only then can we have a shot at becoming the opposite of a cult member, a good person. Thank you so much for watching. I have been writing this script for well over a year, trying to crack it, because this is a very, very, very deep issue, and I wanted to make sure that I made justice to it. But let me know in the comments below, do you agree with me? Do you think that you were a bad person when you were a Jehovah's Witness? Do you think you were a good person when you were a Jehovah's Witness, and why? I would really love to know your thoughts.